for 533, we're going to be looking at area of a triangle. So if you look up here, there's a couple things that we want to kind of look over before we get started. In different triangles, they can show you the different, or the heights in different places. So let's look at this to the far right. Here, the height of the triangle is actually the side of the triangle. So remember, the height is always associated with that right angle, okay? So in this case, the height and the side length is the same thing. And one like this, okay, we have our base here, and the height just kind of drops down right in the middle, all right? So you can see it drops down. Again, we have our right angle, and it's inside the shape. Sometimes the height can be dropped down on the outside. Now, when you see a dotted line in math, that means that's invisible. So you can see here they dropped down a line from the highest point of the triangle. Here's that right angle, okay? And the height will appear on the outside. This is still the base. Don't let it confuse you and use this piece as well. Just this is the base. But they had to put the height on the outside because there's nowhere inside this triangle to drop it straight down. So, since a triangle is half as big as a rectangle that surrounds it, we use the formula base times height divided by 2. So if I take a rectangle or a parallelogram and I cut it in half, I actually end up with 2 triangles. So if I want to know, okay, well, what's the area of just one of them, I'd have to find the area of my rectangle, base times height, and then I'd cut that in half, which is either multiplying by a half or dividing by 2. This is the most common way you'll probably see it being written, but base times height divided by 2 is our formula we're going to use. So if we come down here, okay, and we look at our first example, we're going to do a 3-step method, which means first step is we write out our formula. So we just went over the area formula is base times height divided by 2. So second step, we're going to plug in our numbers. So our base is 12. And our height is 4. Remember, our height is always associated with that right angle. And then divided by 2. So 12 times 4 is 48. Divided by 2 is 24. And they didn't give me a unit of measurement, so I use units squared. And remember, units for area are always squared. So we look at our formula, plug in our numbers, and then solve. Go ahead, pause the video and try the second one. Okay, so first we write our formula. So area is equal to base times height divided by 2. Area is equal to our base here is 11. Our height is this line, okay, because associated with that right angle, but they showed us on the outside. So it is 13.4, and then divided by 2. So my area is equal to 11 times 13.4 is 147.4 divided by 2. And when you divide that by 2, you get 73.7 centimeters squared. Okay, next one. So again, 3-step process. First step is writing our formula. So area is equal to base times height divided by 2. So this one is a little different. Okay, here is our triangle in here. So a lot of times they put all these extra numbers just to see if you know what you're talking about and to kind of throw you off. So if I'm looking at this, my base of my triangle is just this number right here. It does not include the 5 because remember that dotted line is invisible. That's not really there. It's just my 8. And then my height is going to be 12. Okay, again, associated with that right angle. They had to drop an invisible line down so that it could give us our height because we can't drop it in the middle because that would be slanted. and then divide it by 2. So 8 times 12 is 96 divided by 2, which you should get 48 feet squared. Okay. And the last one, okay, you might notice this is a little bit different. The shape is actually what we call a parallelogram, which we just learned about in the last lesson. Okay, and so I noticed that it's cut in half, creating 2 triangles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of my parallelogram and then divide it by 2 to figure out the area of each triangle. So go ahead and pause the video and try this. Okay, let's try it out. First step, write our formula. So for our parallelogram, remember it's just base times height. So plug it in. My base is 11 and my height is 6, again associated with that right angle. And 11 times 6 is 66 centimeters squared. Now that's for my whole shape here. If I just want this one triangle, okay, I'm going to have to split it in half. So I'm going to have to take my 66 and divide it by 2 to get 33 centimeters squared for each triangle. Okay, and that is how you find the area of a triangle.